because of the pandemic and because of our sort of situation or circumstances as they stand, we haven't really been able to celebrate it as we normally do. So yesterday we just called on a few families to come down to Sandy Bay for a pizza picnic at lunchtime, and we had quite a lot of fun down there, but obviously socially distancing and keeping to the guidelines. So we haven't been able to organise an event as such for public, not for the public.
With that in mind, in light of the pandemic, what are the challenges that people with Down syndrome have been facing over the past year?
Well, the challenges that we've had quite a few challenges. First and foremost, when we went into lockdown in February, it was a little bit of an unknown. So most of us parents or carers just did things gut feeling. What do we do with them? Do we expose them or we don't or whatever? So we kept them shielded or semi-shielded most of the year until the summer came, and thankfully then we could take them out, and they've enjoyed the beach and they've enjoyed outings and activities. And then obviously when we've gone into the second lockdown, just before Christmas, we got information from the UK, from Public Health UK, and from the Down Syndrome Association in the UK, which we liaise with very closely, actually every week on webinars, because they update us as a group, that they were clinically extremely vulnerable. They were deemed clinically extremely vulnerable. So then when the second lockdown was even harder on them, because we had to shield them totally, except for obviously walking and exercising. But they were sort of like, we had to drop all activities, and we had to tell, they haven't been to college, they haven't been to their work placements. So the second lockdown was a little bit harder, it was a bit more challenging than the first one.
There seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel at the moment, with maybe restrictions certainly have been easing, and maybe a normal summer on the horizon. What does that make you feel, and for the group here locally?
It makes us feel very relieved. It's a sense of relief and positivity for us, because our youngsters, some of them have sensory issues. The wearing of masks sometimes is difficult. The actual fact that they're not socially mixing with their peers or even within the community is very difficult. They're quite social creatures. They love being with other people. For instance, my son hasn't seen his sisters that live in the UK at Christmas, so that was quite hard on him. We've had bereavements as well within different families. That's been hard. So they've had to cope with a lot of issues that all of us have had to cope with as well. But I find that with them sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, because there's a lot of things that they achieve that you sort of like, it takes a while for them to achieve certain things, and suddenly they're all sort of dropped, and then it's like starting again, starting afresh. Plus some of their activities are in Spain. So, we go horse riding in Spain, we go to golf in San Roque Golf Club. So those haven't happened for the last year either. So I think they're all looking forward to getting out and going, and getting back to their usual activities.
In your opinion, how far have we come, and have we come far enough as a society in raising awareness and understanding more people with Down syndrome, or what Down syndrome is?
I think we've come a long way. Since we started our group in Gibraltar, we were trying to work that out yesterday whilst we were at the beach. How long is it since we started? We actually started with a conference because about 10 years ago, or possibly longer than that, maybe even 15 years ago, a lot of our young children started going into mainstream school, which wasn't a done thing at the time. So we actually started because we organized a conference for speakers to come out to we held a conference for teachers, because it was the first. So obviously to just sort of orientate them on what it means to have a child with Down syndrome within a school setting, and then we just carried on. So obviously we've had those children go through the school system, and that is what we actually advocate. I think what we're advocating is inclusion within the education system, within employment. It's just trying to get them to do what everybody else does, and if they need the support needs to be put in there for them, and I think they can achieve much more than sometimes we expect them to achieve. So I think we really need, I think we've come a long way, but there might be a little bit more work to be done.
And in what way can people help and get in touch with the group if they need anything?
They can call us. They can look us up on our Facebook page, Down Syndrome Support Group Gibraltar. All our information goes on that page. We've recently had 2 new families that have come on board, and actually because of the pandemic we haven't been able to meet with them yet, and we are hoping to do that within the next week. And obviously when there's young families that have young children and it's all very new to them, the point of contact would be us. And sometimes when you have a diagnosis as well, when you know that you're going to have a child, that you're pregnant and you're going to have a child with Down syndrome, all the questions and all the fears and all the things that might be easier if you come and see us, and we can talk you through them from experience, obviously.